to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. I am so glad that you are here today because I've been waiting to tell you this story for a very long time. And of course, I've been teasing it out over the last year as I've been on other podcasts. But this is the story of how something I have watched happen in this industry for years has been unfolding, something that has genuinely bothered me, but I think I have a solution for it. And the solution came from a place that I sort of didn't expect. It was during an interview, kind of. I was in my podcast studio. I was recording an episode with Corey Damon Jenkins. And you know Corey, you know him, AD 100 list, 2 books, a TV show, a masterclass, licensing deals, product lines, a man who has, by every measure, made it to the very top of our industry. We were deep in conversation about how full his world is right now with all these things. The design pipeline, the licensing deals, a lighting line that he was developing at the time. And then he mentioned practically in passing that he had just joined the platform called The Expert. And in a split second, I'm like, why, Corey, did you do this? So in the interview, I said, hey, what's that about? Why? And what he said kind of just stopped me in my tracks. He said, Luann, I get so many requests because, first of all, think about it. I'm like, do you really need to go out and give homeowners design advice? Because if you know what The Expert is, it's a platform for consumers to hire designers from regular garden variety humans among us that do good design to iconic designers. And I'm thinking, do you really, my brain is like, do you need this? But what he said made so much sense. He said, I get so many requests every month for help and advice, not just from consumers, but from our peers, our colleagues, from students coming up in the industry. And he said, I never want to be the person who closes the door on someone who genuinely needs help, especially people in the industry. He was more focused on you than the consumer, okay? And he explained, but this is how I can put a box around it, right? A way to say, if you are serious, if my time does mean something to you, here's how you can have it. And if you were just looking for free advice and you were never going to take it anyway, it literally creates a natural filter, right? Well, when he said that, it was all I could do to stay focused on the rest of the conversation, which I have to tell you in 10 years, I've never had a problem with, because as Corey and I continued to talk, there was another part of my brain that was building another business, literally in that minute. And so the second the interview ended, I burst out of my podcast studio. I looked at Diana and said, I have an idea for a new business. Now, here's the thing you need to know. That moment with Corey was not where the story started. It's where the story kind of ended and then began again, right? But the moment that started it was that there were all these other things that I had been living and watching and being frustrated throughout the years, and they were all happening simultaneously. Now, you may have heard me before describe my brain. It's a little crazy pants in there, like many of yours are. I know I'm not a unicorn, but my brain, I see things in verticals. It's funny. It's almost like I look just above my sight line and I see these different verticals. And that one thing is happening here, and another thing is happening here, and another thing is happening here. And I travel through my day, my life, my week, my month, my year with these different things that I'm just like gathering awareness of, or maybe it's a problem that doesn't have a solution yet, but they're just living there in separate verticals. And then all of a sudden, sometimes this one thing happens and it's like, bam, and it just claps all the verticals together. And there's this like spark of clarity, right? I don't know how your brain functions. I know that many of you listening have this same visionary, squirrely brain. So I know I'm not unique, but maybe the way each of us experiences it is sort of unique to us. So mine is vertical, 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 bang, lightning clap. All of the things are connected. So let me tell you about some of those other things. The first one had been happening since the very beginning of the podcast. I received the most beautiful, heartfelt emails from you, my listener. You have shared where you are in your business, what you're struggling with, what you've tried, what you're afraid of, vulnerability, right? And you're placing trust in me when you come and tell me these things. And, at the end of these emails, it's typically, what should I do? And here's a hard truth for me and for you. A lot of times I can't answer that question, what should I do? Because I don't have enough information. It's not that you didn't give me a good amount of information often. Sometimes I get a lot. Sometimes it's 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs. But a real answer isn't something you arrive at from a single email, regardless of how detailed it is, right? I am always going to have follow-up questions, and then follow-up questions to those questions, because your answers create different curiosities for me. And at some point, what we're doing isn't an email exchange anymore. It's actually a coaching session. But here's the problem. It's an unstructured, unaccountable coaching session where, let's be serious, I still don't have the full picture. And then I'm in a position of making recommendations based on incomplete information. And the thing is, bad help isn't neutral. Bad help can cost you time and money and confidence. And I'm just not, frankly, willing to be the source of bad help, even accidentally. So it's a hard position to be in. And I have been stuck by that. And I have wanted to help, but I just couldn't help the right way through email. And I refused to do it the wrong way. It's bothered me, and it still does. So that's one vertical that's been living there, right? Now, there's another thing that's been going on. And this actually happened about a week before that interview with Corey Damon. I got a DM on Instagram. 3 paragraphs telling me how much this designer loved the podcast, how long this designer had been listening, how many ways it has given insights and help in running their business. And I got to tell you, you never get tired of these DMs. You just don't. You're just, a sociopath if it doesn't impact you. I have to tell you, it's amazing. And I'm grateful for any time I get one. But in this particular one, I get to the last 2 sentences, the only 2 sentences about this particular designer. Everything else was about me. And the last 2 sentences are, I'm 2 years into my design business, and I feel like from everything you've said, there is no reason to wait to hire a coach. Yay, you, by the way. Who do you think I should hire? Now, I want to flip this around for you for just a moment. You listening to me right now, you are an interior designer. You have a customer that slides into your DMs and spends 3 paragraphs telling you how much this consumer loves your photos, your style, your aesthetic, on and on and on. And you are feeling, wow, I am the bomb, right? But then our last and final sentence is, and I have been wondering for 2 years, what should I do with my living room? What do you think? Sounds crazy, doesn't it? Kind of sounds crazy. But here's the thing. I know the person who left me this DM didn't think that it was a crazy request, but think about it. You don't know a thing about this person's home, their taste, their budget, their timeline, their needs. And are you in a DM going to start asking what size is your living room? Are you replacing all the furniture? Do you like minimalist or maximalism? Do you like color? Do you like neutrals? Right? You're not doing that because you can't give good advice in that. It's advice, but does it feel like you want to put your name on that advice? Does it feel like, hey, yay, you, I gave you advice, hope it works? Like, it feels very like bad advice is not good advice, right? And this is how I felt in that moment. So what I said instead was I gently explained that who you should hire as a business coach is a bigger question that a DM can really hold. And then came the lightning bolt for me because the next statement was, you're right. I should have mentioned I'm deciding between Rebecca Hay, Cheryl Clenenden, and Sandra Funk. So of these three, which should I hire? Okay. This is not illuminating for me. And I want to be clear about something before I go further. Rebecca, Cheryl, and Sandra are not just people in the industry. They are people that have been on my show. They are colleagues that I respect deeply. They are three women that I happen to know well. Women I would recommend without hesitation to the right person. And what I'm about to say about these women is not gossip. It is not criticism. It is actually the highest compliment I can pay them, which is that I know them well enough to know pretty confidently who each of them is best suited to serve, right? Their skill sets and their personalities are wildly different from each other in all the best ways. Rebecca is warm. She will meet you where you are. She will hold your hand through the hard parts, and she will make you feel capable at every step. If you are early in your business and you need someone who will help build your confidence while she helps you build your systems, she is extraordinary at this. Cheryl, on the other hand, is direct in a way that very few people can pull off. And keep in mind who is telling this to you, my friend, okay? I have sat in rooms with Cheryl where she has looked at someone and said out loud what I was only thinking in my head. And she gets away with it because, at least in every experience I have had with her, she is right. She knows her stuff. And because you can feel in the moment that hard truth is coming at you, that she genuinely cares about you and what she's trying to share with you. But if you need someone to soften every truth before they hand it to you, Cheryl is not your person. Right? She is also an exceptional choice if you've been in business for a while and you cannot seem to crack the code on profitability, running, and scaling a business. She is your girl. Okay? Now, Sandra. I adore Sandra. You know I do. But you know what, my friends? She doesn't do business coaching. She does not coach. She has created the interior design standard, which I always describe as a design business in a box. It's insanely valuable, but it is completely different from the offering of either of these other women. So how is it that we are in a situation where we are deciding between these three people? It literally, in that split second, did not make sense to me. It's like coming to your friend and saying, I really need a doctor. Here are my three options. I have a cardiologist, an orthopedic surgeon, and a dermatologist. All have great reviews. Which one should I go to? Well, you're just like looking at your friend going, I don't know. I mean, yeah, they all have great reviews. They all went to medical school. They're all good at what they do. But I mean, like, if you have a heart condition, are you going to the dermatologist? Like, which one do you need? Which one makes sense? So this is a thing. And in this moment, I'm like, gosh, this is a real pain point happening in the industry right now, right? And so in that DM, I did the best I could. I told her, spend 3 or 4 weeks listening to each of their podcasts and YouTube channels and see who resonates with you. See who seems to be teaching exactly what you keep saying to yourself that you need to learn, right? Because I can't pick between those 3 women. That's a cardiologist, an orthopedic surgeon, and a dermatologist. All exceptional, all completely different, right? So she thanked me and she went on her way. But then I sat there and I'm thinking, this is a problem. It's not that there isn't enough help in our industry. It's that it's very difficult for you who is serious about getting the right help to know who actually deserves your trust, your time, and your money. Because there is no filter. There is no curation. There is no one standing behind a recommendation saying, I know this person. I have seen their work. I believe they have earned their seat. And that was the second vertical in my brain, this dilemma. And then the third thing, and this one surprised me. It was another little vertical happening, but the moment of realization was interesting. So, share about how I work, right? I've spent 40 plus years in business and 10 years on this podcast. And that entire time, I've deliberately built relationships with the very best people in every discipline that I have the opportunity to connect with, right? Not just collecting contacts. You've heard me say 1,000 times, oh, I met that person. You're a smart one. You'll come with me, right? When I say you'll come with me, it means you go in my brain. You go in my digital Rolodex. I remember you because you've got something special about what you teach and how you teach it, right? So I've spent this 40 plus years actually knowing people, working alongside them, watching them, how they think, how they show up for the people they serve. And because of this, when I have a problem in my business, I don't have to spiral. I don't have to Google. I don't have to scroll through podcasts hoping someone might be talking about the thing I need to learn. I get to pick up the phone and call the exact right person. Right? If it's a finance problem, I walk down the hall and speak to the Vincennes, right? Or I reach out to Michelle Williams, right? If it's a leadership or organizational issue, I call my cousin Eileen Hahn. If it's a marketing or a branding question, I call Nicole Heimer, right? If it's a design process I need to work through with one of my own coaching clients and it's above my pay grade, I call Kate O'Hara or Sandra Funk. How did you do this in your business? How does this actually happen? Right? I've been adjacent to your business. I know that you're successful in this, but what's the weeds of that? Right? And within 30 minutes, I get my answer and I'm back to work. And I want you to understand, I get these calls too, right? Because it's a two-way highway. That's how it works when you spend decades building real relationships with people who are genuinely good at what they do. You show up for each other, right? And you know this about me. I've always operated this way on the podcast as well. From day one, I have never believed I'm the only voice you need to hear, right? I started with Power Talk Friday, probably within 2 or 3 months of launching the podcast. It's like, who are other people? Not just like Tuesday shows were always interior designers. You guys talking to you guys teaching you guys, me, the facilitator of the conversation, picking it apart, but your peer teaching you. But Fridays, I always reached out to SEO experts, to websites, to other people who coached people in business, right? I have always operated this way. And if you've been around for a while, you know my Power Talk Friday events. I invite 3 to 5 other business consultants to join us, right? When you typically go to a business consultant / coach's event, often they're the only business consultant coach there. Not at my event. I've never shown up at my events as the only business coach in the room. Whether it's Power Talk Friday, it's Luann University. Luann University is all of our peers and my quote unquote competitors. Hello, no such thing, right? My Power Talk Friday collaborative books. I can tell you a thing about understanding your value and showing up and charging your worth. I can do it. I've done it for 40 plus years. But you know what? Nancy Quinn has a different strategy and different ahas and a different way to explain it that might hit your ears in a different way that would impact you in a way that I cannot. So yeah, let me bring Nancy Quinn along to talk to you about charging your worth, right? I could write a chapter about building a referral-based business. And believe me, WindowWorks is more than 50% referral and repeat business at this point. We did that work. I know how we did that work. But I'm sorry, isn't it better to have the recognized expert, Stacey Brown Randall, share her insights with you? Because you know what? I can look back and see what I did, but Stacey wakes up every day figuring out the most effective way to build a referral-based business. It's not something that she has to sit and reflect on and how did she do it. She gets up with intention and is always improving the way it's done. So yes, ma'am, I'll take one Stacey Brown Randall in my ranks all day long, right? These are people who, quote unquote, on paper, compete with me for coaching clients. No, right? I want them at my table. I want to share you, my audience, with them. Because if they're a better fit for you, I want that for you, right? Because you know what? I know building a business is hard. I know finding qualified help to do that is critical. And if someone else is an A+ fit for you, why hire the B+ fit, even if that's me, right? I want you to have A+. I go for A+ every time I do something. I want to help you do that every single time. Okay. So here's the thing. This new venture of mine, the Boardroom for Creatives, is an extension of this exact belief, just with actual infrastructure behind it. All right. But here's the thing. What hit me sitting with that young designer's question on Instagram. Something shifted in that moment, not frustration this time, but something in this, oh, everyone doesn't have this, right? And I don't mean that with pride, that you don't have the digital Rolodex that I have. I mean it with the same feeling you get when you realize you've been kind of quietly unrealizing, taking something for granted that someone else would love to have access to. And so it started to hit me. You shouldn't have to spend 40 years earning those phone numbers before you can get a real answer to a real problem in your business. And that was the third vertical. Thinking about how I have the luxury and I have built the relationships and the infrastructure, but it comes with the access of the podcast and 4 decades of business. But maybe you're 5 years in business. Do I need you? Does the world need you? Should you wait 40 years to build this digital Rolodex? No. What if I can share it with you, right? That's the third vertical. And now the fourth thing. And this wasn't a single moment. It was a slow burn. When I started this podcast 10 years ago, there was one other business podcast in the design space. One. Today, I've never counted them up, but I guess there's probably about 50. And I'm not here to disparage anyone that has a business podcast in our space. I know there is room for all of us. What is there, 80,000 interior designers in the US? There's room for all of us. Like, there's room. So we can have 50 podcasts in the space. I promise you. But the thing that I find difficult is that it seems lately a lot of people are positioning themselves as business coaches and consultants in this industry today that have not yet earned that seat. It's my opinion. You can take it for what it's worth. I'm not saying they're bad people. What I'm saying is, in plain English, many of them haven't had their teeth kicked in yet. That's exactly how I look at it. They haven't yet had the chance to navigate hard seasons. They haven't had the problem where they haven't been able to make payroll because the money wasn't there. They haven't sat across from a client in real financial trouble and had to help think them through their way out of it. And I don't mean their design client. I mean their coaching client, okay? They've had some successes, right? They've had some clients in their own business as a designer that they've been successful with, right? And maybe they've built some sort of following, and now they're charging real money to teach things that, in my opinion, they haven't fully lived. And this leads us to the real problem, is that how do you know from the outside who knows the real information? Their sales page, their landing pages look polished. The Instagram looks credible. The testimonials are real. I'm not implying that anybody's making anything up. But the thing is, you have a decision to make based on what's available to you. And I know it's sometimes costing you. I've watched it happen. I've had the conversations with you who have spent money with someone who actually was not in a position, did not have the chops to help them. And the cost isn't just financial. That should be the worst part of it. It should be. It should be, and it's not. The worst part of it is that when you work with someone who really isn't seasoned, who really doesn't have the chops to teach you the thing, what happens is when it doesn't work, typically you don't question that person, you question yourself. You doubt yourself. Oh, I had good advice and it didn't work, and so it's me. But you know what? It's not always good advice. It's not. It's not. I've sat in the panels, at the various markets, in the back of the room thinking, no, don't take notes on that. Don't know, right? Because somebody that's been in business 3 to 5 years is now telling you the way it is. You've been in other situations in your life. It's kind of like when you're a teenager, right? For any of you that have teenagers, they're so passionate and so committed to the thing that they're sure is true. And you're just looking at them like, sweetie, I love you like life, and I don't need to break you down right now. This is not something that is actually going to matter in a day, let alone a week, a month, or a year, right? There's just so much noise right now, so many options, so many voices saying, pick me, hire me, spend your time and money with me. And I'm not feeling like there is a reliable way to know who is the real deal. And that is the fourth vertical that has been torturing me. And just swirling around in its own little vertical, up and down, going, well, you're not in charge of the world, Lou. This isn't, your problem to fix. These are grown-ups out there. You're not everybody's mama, right? But that's that fourth vertical. So stay right here. I'm going to be right back after a message from our sponsor with the rest of the story. Okay, so what happens is, all of these four verticals are flying around in my brain. And then in that moment, in that interview when Corey said what he said, I joined the expert. So I do have a place. I do have a box and a defined scope and a defined place where I can help our peers. All the verticals came crashing together in a huge, big thunderclap. And here's what I realized in that exact moment. These are not just my problems. This isn't just your problems. Our heroes in the industry, the iconic designers that we all looked up to, they have a version of this problem too. Because here's what I know about the Corey Damon Jenkinsons of this world. They are generous people. They don't want to close the door on you and students and colleagues who help them get where they are. But generosity without infrastructure doesn't scale. You can only give away so many hours, answer so many DMs, take so many phone calls before it's unsustainable. And so the door quietly closes anyway, not because they stop caring, but because the system doesn't hold it open. So maybe you are the emerging designer who needs one smart answer before you can move forward with somebody in their 6-month or year-long coaching program, but you have no reliable way to know who deserves your trust and money. Or maybe, right, you're cautious by nature. Maybe you're risk adverse. Or maybe, I hear this all the time, more than you think, you've already been burned. You've handed somebody real money, that person didn't deliver, and now the idea of doing it again is hard to stomach. So you don't get the help you need, and instead you spin in circles and you wait because writing the check the second time before you know for certain feels like too big of a risk. Or maybe, you are the iconic designer who wants to give back but needs a way to do it that's sustainable, boundaried, and worthy of your time and expertise. Whoever you are in this moment, we all need the same thing. A room, a curated, vetted, trusted room where you walk in with a real problem, sit across from the right person, and you walk out with a real answer. Not a directory, not a marketplace, not a pay-to-play. A room where every single person sitting at the table has been personally selected and or vetted by me. People I work alongside, people I have watched in action, people I would send my own private chairman of the board clients to without hesitation. This is what I've built now, and it's called the Boardroom for Creatives. Now, let me tell you what happened next, because this is the part that isn't in the email, because we've done an email sequence explaining all of this to you as well. This is the behind the scenes that I want you to hear. The second that interview ended, I walked out of my studio, as I said to you earlier, and I just said, I have an idea for a new business. And then the next 5 or 8 minutes, I was just so completely tickled with myself, marveling at what an exceptional idea I had in creating the Boardroom for Creatives. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was pretty darn pleased with myself. I thought I had come up with this great idea, and it was built among all of these things. And I know, I've had some pretty good ideas over the years, but I was like, this one is particularly genius. This was needed. This was a thing. And then about the 6th or 7th minute into it, I was like, as I'm in the middle of in my own head, you're amazing, Luann celebration moment, reality started to creep in. Because here's how my brain works. I don't ever get an idea. I don't ever build a business idea for what it looks like in the first month of the first year it opens. I just don't. I build it for what it looks like in 2, 5, and 10 years. Like, okay, this is your idea. What will it be in 2? What will it be in 5? What will it be in 10? Is this the thing? Right? And, about the 6th moment after I was patting myself on the back on how brilliant I was, then I started to think about 2 years out and 5. And what happens when there are 100 experts in the boardroom and 1,000 bookings happening simultaneously Yeah, yeah, that's who I am. I go from idea to this is the most wildly successful thing ever designed on the planet, and I have to be able to have 1,000 people book at the same time, right? I mean, holy cow, what kind of technology does that require? And I literally, I'm like, Nicole of Glory and Brand, I hope you can build this, girl, because this is my idea, right? Here's the thing. I start thinking, we're talking about financial transactions at scale. We're talking about calendaring systems that have to populate across dozens of different individual calendars simultaneously. We're talking about an infrastructure that I had no idea if we could build at our level, or if this would require funding and technology that was beyond our scope. I knew that it existed on the Expert, but hello, I'm not the Expert platform. I don't have a gabillion dollars in investor money, right? So I went in a period of about 1 to 6 minutes from you are a genius to can this actually be done? Like, seriously? So then, as tends to happen when you're onto something real, two things happened in the same day that told me everything I needed to know. And you know that I always say, listen for the messages from the universe. So here they come. That same afternoon, at the end of the day, I had my regular coaching session with Amber de la Garza. Now, if you've listened to me, you know she's been coaching me for, I think it's 6 or 7 years at this point. Okay. And I literally can't wait to tell her the idea. But I have to tell you, there is like 90% of me that completely expected her to say, Luann, this is a huge lift. Like, you already have 16 billion things on your plate. And I like the idea, but let's just take a step back and be reasonable about this. Let's look at your calendar. Let's actually see if this can fit into your life. That is 1000% what I expected her to say. Instead, when I finished telling her the idea, she literally just looked at me and she said, Luann, oh my goodness, you have to do this. This is a great idea. I remember her exact words were, clear your decks and make it happen. And I was like, right? And she said, I mean now. Schedule time in now. Do it. And this was my first green light. And then that exact same night, I had dinner with Vin. And he was already at the beach, and I had driven the 2 hours to meet him at the beach. And the whole time, I'm whirling, and I'm talking about it in my head, and I'm imagining the conversation. And I'm like, am I going to get the moment to tell him? What are we going to be talking about? Like, blah, blah. Is Aaron Judge on tonight? We're not going to talk about things. We're going to watch baseball. But I get there, and I tell him everything. How all the verticals have been there in my mind and how they've all been there, for years and weeks and months. And then smack dab in the middle of the interview with Corey, the idea came to me. And, I also told him, I have a real concern about the technology. And I also told him about my conversation with Amber. I didn't tell him that she greenlit it, though. I just said, and I'm, mentioning it to Amber and blah, blah, blah. And the thing is, Amber knows my day-to-day world intimately. And she knows when you say something like to me, clear your decks, she knows it's a thing. It's this decks that have to be cleared, okay? But Vin knows my whole world. And to be honest with you, as much as I expected Amber to push back, I wholly expected him to push back. And I am literally prepared for how much more can you do? How much more will this cost? What is the market for this? And all the things that I know I need to address, right? And I'm going to make a business plan for it. I'm going to do this. But I had the idea at 3:30 and I'm sitting with him at 6:30 and I'm busting and I want to tell him. I don't want to tell him in a week after I've done all this work, but I'm fully expecting 16 yeah buts, which I have not prepared for. So I'm ready for it, but I'm also like, I'm not afraid of it because I'm too excited that I've got to tell him. Okay. But I finished telling him my big idea, and he literally looks me straight in the eye and he says, Lou, this is a darn good idea. And I'm going to tell you what, my friend, chills ran up and down my spine. Like, and he said to me, you absolutely should do this. You know that moment when someone that you trust implicitly, that you know has every inch of business sense that you have and everything that you don't have, and that person is like, this is a good idea. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, 2 green lights in one day. And all I could think was, I'm doing this. I'm really going to do this. Then came the board members. And I want you to understand who I went to first. I went to my Power Talk Friday experts, the people who have done Power Talk Friday live events with me. I went to my Lou University instructors, the people who show up and we get insanely amazing reviews on their classes semester after semester. I went to my co-authors from both of the Power Talk Friday books. I went to the consultants and the designers who've been part of my world long enough that I don't just know their work, I know them. I know how they show up. I know who they're best suited to serve. I know these are the people I call when I have a specific problem on my plate. And then I went to the iconic designers, the ones at the top of this industry who have been so generous with our community for years. Corey Damon, Ariane Belazar, Erica Ward, and others who never want to close the door on people who are coming up behind them. You've heard Corey say, I don't pull the ladder up behind me, I put the ladder down behind me. People who think alike, people who want the best for the peers, for the colleagues, for the students, for the industry. And here's the thing, when I went to each of these people, 20, 30 people, whoever it was, here is what happened almost without exception. I'm in. Period. Some of them said, if you're doing it, I'm in. Even before I finished explaining what it is. And I have to say, the half dozen of 40 people I invited for the opening rollout that decided not to do it, literally, like legitimate reasons. I'm not looking to build my consulting business at this point. It wasn't, no, I don't believe in this. No, I don't think it's needed. It's just the timing isn't right for me personally. So that response, the near unanimous yes from the people I respect deeply, was its own additional confirmation that this is needed. This is a good idea. This is in good service to you. Because these are not people who follow, who say yes to things they don't believe in. These are people who have built real businesses, served real clients, and earned real results. And they looked at this platform and this infrastructure and this opportunity and said, yes, I want to be a part of it. I didn't have to convince anyone. I just had to invite them. So here's how the boardroom works. You go to boardroomforcreatives.com and you choose your board member based on what you need right now in your business. If you need help in finance, in leadership, in operations, in sales, or marketing, and you find the expert that aligns with what you need. You book a private 50-minute session directly on their calendar, right? You pay through the website. There are no long-term commitments, no contracts, no pressure to do anything beyond show up for 50 minutes with your problem and get advice, clarity, action, experience, expertise. You come in prepared with a real situation. Don't come with a vague sense of what's bothering you. right? That's when you go to therapy, right? Come with a thing, the specific decision you've been circling, the problem you can't see because you're so in the middle of it, right? And here's what I want you to ask yourself before you book. Do I know what I'm asking of this conversation? Do I know what I want to walk away with? Because if the answer is yes, book a session. This is exactly what it's built for. All right. Now, let me tell you about the 3 kinds of people who belong in this room. And you may be all 3 of these people at different days of the week, the month, the year, or the season of your business. Okay. So maybe you are the business owner who has something sitting on your desk right now that has been there too long, right? You just are like, this thing has been bothering me. I don't know how to solve it. I don't know what to do with it. Gosh darn it, let's get an answer. Or maybe you're the one who knows something in your business isn't working, but you can't see clearly whether it's a people problem, a process problem, or something else entirely, right? You're not sure what it is, but you know enough to know something's wrong, and you can give enough information that one of us can help you get some clarity. And maybe this might be the most powerful use of the boardroom. You already know you want long-term coaching or consulting, and you've done some research, and you have it down to 2 or 3 people that you're considering, but you're a little hesitant to spend $5, $10, $20, $30, $40,000 before you know if they're a good fit for you. You've listened to their podcasts, you've read their books, whatever it is, and there's just a little nudge there, right? So a board session is 50 minutes with a real person solving a real problem together, right? And you will know by the end of that conversation whether this is someone that, can and should be in your corner for the long haul and is worth your investment. Okay. So you might hire 3 that you're thinking of, and maybe you put $3,000 into hiring 3. I promise you will get answers from all 3, but you will also feel more confident if long-term coaching is what you're looking for. All right. Let me be equally clear who this is not for. Can you show up to a session without a clear question? Yeah. Can you use 50 minutes to vent to someone who will listen? I guess. Technically, yes. But I'm not going to pretend that's a good use of your time or money or their time. The thing is that people who walk away from a boardroom session with real clarity are the ones who come in with a real situation, the actual thing, the specific decision, the problem they haven't been able to crack. And that's when 50 minutes changes everything. Okay? I also want to say, for me in my life, like I told you about that digital Rolodex, you might be a seasoned designer, and I also think, or a seasoned window treatment professional. This is for you as well, because maybe you got things pretty under control. You don't need a long-term coach, and you don't want to listen to 14 podcast episodes to get the right answer. You just need the person who knows more than you. And that's a valid use of it. That was one of the verticals that clapped together for me. I was like, yeah, like when I have a real problem, I just want an answer, right? And so, yeah, I would pay for that answer because that answer is probably going to unlock revenue at scale that I never could have imagined. And the longer I put off getting the answer was the longer I put off just creating that revenue, right? So, think about 50 minutes can change everything. Now, I want to close with something that Corey said to me, and I mentioned a moment ago. His saying, he never pulls up the ladder behind him. He puts it back down for the people coming up next. And to go back to that, this is the philosophy behind every person that I have invited and okayed to be in the boardroom. This is the same philosophy behind 10 years of this podcast and 40 plus years in business. I've always believed that my job on this show, in my coaching, at every event I run, is to put the best possible people and resources in front of you from day one. day one of doing this podcast, not just the ones that benefit me, the best ones, period. Because as I said earlier, building a business is hard, and finding qualified help to do that is one of the most critical things that you will ever do. The Boardroom for Creatives is probably the most direct expression of that belief of everything I've ever built. I can't give you 40 years. I can't give you 40 years of building a business and building contacts, but I can give you the vetting. I can give you the judgment. I can give you the certainty that whoever you sit across from in that room, I know they deliver. And I'm putting my name on it, on every single one of them. And that's my promise to you. And that's why I'm so proud of it. Okay? So the Boardroom for Creatives is open. There are probably as many that are on the site as right this moment in time as we're live in real life. There's probably 8 or 10 behind them, onboarding, getting their materials in, getting everything ready to get their profile up. We will continue to add board members. And as I said, there are directories, right? Exciting Windows is an industry partner of the WCAA. That's valuable. We pay a fee so that members of the WCAA see Exciting Windows and what they offer as an opportunity and a resource for their business. That's great. And as president of the WCAA, I know that we vet them, but we basically look to see that they're a reputable business, that they don't have, bad reviews about their business, that they have evidence of doing honorable business, that they are a legit business, and all the things. But this is next level. This is not a directory. There is a value for directories. We and I are part of directories, but this is different. This is people that I know and trust. And you cannot just send me an email and you cannot just apply and you can get them on the Boardroom for Creatives as a board member by just paying and writing a check and me never knowing who you are. That's not what this is. It was time, in my opinion, for what it's worth, for this industry to have some place where somebody would put their personal name behind it. And that's what I'm willing to do here. And that's what I've done. So it's open. Board members are taking appointments. Go to boardroomforcreatives.com. Get your problem solved. Get your head clear. Get the cobwebs out. Get your business on track. Figure out the next steps that will make the impact on your business so you can create the lifestyle, the vision, and the mission for your business that you have set out to create, because you have it within you to do it. But thinking you have to do it alone is crazy. It's not even possible. We understand it takes a village to raise our family. You call in grandparents, aunts, uncles, sisters, brothers. Why do we think we have to do our business by ourselves? We don't. But it is harder to find good people. When you call your mom to watch your kids, you're like, yeah, you did a good job with me. It's good. Right? So I'm trying to create that safe space where at least you have some measure of confidence that somebody has looked in the eyeballs of this person and has done some kind of vetting and some kind of analytical assessment if they are worth their time and money. So, boardroomforcreatives.com. Go take a look at our board members and book your session. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of Luann Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or Luann University, go to luannnigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to windowworksnj.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.